is Surge XT, and it's a free synth that works super great for MIDI guitar. So I think everybody go download it and make this the first thing you have for your MIDI guitar setup if you don't have it already. There is only one thing that you need to do, and that's to check this MPE status button. It sort of allows for any kind of complex chord. But with these instruments, there's a great chance of them having sort of assigned some sort of function to CC74, and perhaps also some pressure function that is to what would be the equivalent of pressing down. So it's some sort of aftertouch or channel pressure if you want. We go into their own presets here. I have breath for pressure and I have bite for CC74. You hear all these nice shifting in timbre as I play, and you hear smaller differences than would be if you sort of changed sounds altogether, but they all work together to create this magical expression capabilities. Having a guitar as an MPE input, it's quite another thing from having a Seaboard as an input. So I'm doing things that I perhaps would have trouble doing on the Seaboard or on a regular keyboard. It's sort of another dimension altogether to use another type of controller. I'm sure I would have exactly as great a time if I found some other controller that I'm as comfortable with as playing the guitar, but since guitar is my first instrument right now, I'm so happy to find instruments like the Surge XT. Just see to that this MPE button is pressed and you can go ahead and try all these presets. Yeah, you can hear right away that there are some parameters linked to these special inputs that makes it fun right away to play, and there's nothing problematic about setting up and playing these. So 2 thumbs up to Surge. I think this is actually one of the best instruments for the future part of MIDI guitar, and I will keep a close eye on what they do in the future, because this is one instrument that I'm probably going to come back to and keep recommending. So let's go on to some other instruments. into UVI's Falcon. There are a few wonderful libraries or instruments for UVI's Falcon if you have some sort of MPE controller. The first one will look at Expressive E, if you know those guys behind the Touche and the upcoming Osmose controller. They've made some instruments or libraries for Falcon or for UVI player if you want that. But I have carbon, there's helium. You can hear a few things happening at the same time here, so I'll try and separate those for you. Here's an instrument that works straight out of the box just as you would want, because you have the breath connected to one sort of parameter and you have byte connected to another, and everything works. So you have your polyphonic bands, you have a working CC74, and the thing that separates the Rolly Seaboard from a MIDI guitar is of course that separation of MIDI CC74 into all the keys. You have the possibility of using those independently. I can't do that because I'm sending one stream of information for all the MIDI CC74. But in theory, it would actually be able to be separable because we're sending information on all the channels together with the notes. So it's actually one stream of CC74 per note, exactly as we're sending from the Rolly Seaboard. It's the actual way I'm controlling that CC74 that makes it general rather than key specific. Okay, so the obvious upsides of using these MPE instruments and presets are that they're all connected to the same expressive capabilities, so that you have breath control, in my case, or pressure, having the same effect on the instruments. That way I can layer different MPE instruments and be in control of the output in a specific way. Let's go to some of those instruments in Falcon that are MPE instruments but doesn't actually work in the same way. It's not as easy as pulling them up and play those. The Acoustic Samples Vhorns, they claim that they're some sort of MPE instrument. Let's see what they have. The only place I see that these are actually MPE instruments, if I go into preferences here and I have this use MPE button and I want to use MPE. Let's see what happens. Well, it sounds, doesn't seem to be any CC74 connected. Perhaps that there are some issue with the bends, but it's not as obvious on a controller like the Seaboard. You'll see when we get to the guitar as an MPE controller here. So I of course want to use a breath controller in connection with this. So I would rather have a breath preset alongside this. This has nothing to do with the overall MPE preset in itself. That's why I'm doing that. Now, here's the first page of this instrument. There's no way for us to see actually what the pitch bend looks like. And you remember from my list in the beginning that I wanted a pitch bend range of 48. So I have 48 set on MIDI guitar right now. I'm not getting the bends I'm expecting, and let's see what happens if I breathe into my breath controller right now. Having done nothing else, breathing into this, I'm expecting it to work in the same way as... But perhaps this doesn't work either. This part is controlling the expression or the amount of velocity and stuff like this. This seems to be set to CC1, which is the mod wheel. Since this is an MPE patch, I'm expecting it to switch directly to Aftertouch or channel pressure or something like that for its expressive intake. And let's see what we have here. We have way down at the bottom Aftertouch, pitch bend and velocity. So I'm choosing Aftertouch. Yeah, so now it responds at least to Aftertouch on the Rolly Seaboard here. And since I have my breath controller connected to Aftertouch as well in the MIDI guitar setup, it works if I change that to Aftertouch. I want to be able to use my own pitch bends for vibrato, so I'm switching to manual here. So I'm going to change my pitch bend value to 12 in this case. Okay, so it's super playable now, but I had to go over those steps and I don't really enjoy that. I really want a patch like this to be set to this to begin with, since we have a sort of agreement that, okay, we have these dimensions that are normally associated with MPE presets. I don't know why we can't have that for these presets right away. If I switch over to MPE for this particular kind of instrument, it should actually work like this. But I'm going to have to save those instruments, I guess. Like this. So I'm gonna try and load my newly saved MPE baritone. Let's go into preferences and see. Yeah, it's still on breath CC. So this is what we have to do for any of the presets that we're going to use in Falcon from Acoustic Samples with regard to these Vhorns. They are playable as MPE instruments, but we have to change the pitch bend range in our MIDI guitar. Makes everything more problematic, since I want to be able to layer instruments without going in and changing everything, or without going in and resaving presets and stuff like this. I love the Vhorns, it's not that, but they're not fully MPE instruments in the sense that I can choose an MPE preset for those and just play. The Ircam Solo instruments, they are also supposed to be MPE instruments. Now I've just opened Falcon and I'm going to play this MPE instrument from Ircam Solo instruments. So I don't get anything right now, and I choose expression MPE. I still don't get anything. If I look here, A1, that would be MIDI channel 1 only. And in MPE, we're sending on all the other channels and just sending some general information on MIDI 1. So if I'm choosing Omni here, I get a guitar sounding. So it could be something like this. If you choose an MPE instrument for Falcon, it could be something as easy as it's not set to directly receive information on all channels. This is kind of a letdown for me, and I don't consider this to be a well-written instrument for MPE use anyway, when it behaves like this, because it takes a while to actually get to this point where you see that, okay, it's sending only on this one channel. You have to know about MPE stuff to be able to sort of sort this stuff out. I'll leave you with this impression, and you'll do whatever you want with that. But now you know that it could be as simple as you have to change something like the receiving MIDI channels.